Hey everyone, so I'm kind of in my post-workout gear, and I know this is random, but I was having a conversation with my coach, and we were just kind of talking about my journey up until this point, and he thought it'd be a good idea for me to actually make a video describing like my past and how I've gotten to this point, because I know it's kind of been out of the blue the past month. I've been posting lots about fitness and positivity and just different things, and for some people they probably know a very different side of me in the past, so I just wanted to kind of give an explanation of why I have become an active Beachbody coach and why you see a lot of stuff on my page that's different. And it's kind of a long story, so that's why I want to make a video instead of just putting a post online, because it's a little bit longer. So I guess it started when I was around 12 years old, and that was like the age of where I all of a sudden became aware of myself and body image and people looking at me, and it kind of turned into this insecurity that developed into an eating disorder, which I know a lot of women unfortunately have suffered from that. So mine started when I was 12. I realized that I can control the way that I look by what I ate. So it's kind of turned into this starving / binging eating disorder, and I was 12 years old. At the time, I think I was only about 100 pounds, but that continued kind of all through high school, and I wouldn't say that I was ever really fat or that I was ever really skinny. It was kind of like this silent eating disorder that was really, mental, and I had all this, suffering up in my head, and I never got help for it. So it kind of eventually turned into this anxiety / depressive disorder, and the real turning point for me was when I was 23. And my boyfriend at the time had suddenly passed away. Now, this was someone who, was so accepting of me and, was my best friend and just like a very positive person in my life at the time. So having that taken away and having to deal with someone so young, like passing away all of a sudden, just it really flipped me at that point, because I had a lot of guilt and I couldn't deal with it. So I think that's kind of what started the real downward spiral. And I learned to medicate myself. I became addicted to prescription pills. Alcohol was very frequent in my life at that point, and my head was not clear. I ended up, I kept going back to school, kept working a ton because I was just trying to occupy my mind, but I never had the right tools to deal with what was going on in my head. So unfortunately, it kept going, and years after that I had met someone, we had gotten married. It was an awful relationship, completely took advantage of me. I was just looking for some shred of happiness, in another person, because I was so miserable myself. And that marriage was so awful. It did not last long. I left almost immediately after, because I was at my breaking point, and I knew that, I just wanted to die. I was already so hard on myself, and then now I'm married to this person that was so emotionally abusive. So a little bit after that, I had graduated from school, and I had an opportunity to move across the country, and I immediately took it because I was basically just running from all this stuff. I thought it was my location that was the problem, and I had to get away from everything. Being 27 or 28 years old, I didn't realize that it was in my head and it was me, and no matter where you are, you have to learn to deal with what's going on. So I moved all the way across the country. So now, I thought I would get better, but now on top of dealing with all these emotional issues and years of anxiety and depression and eating disorders and all this stuff, now I'm away from my family and friends, and I'm completely alone. So that was definitely even harder, and I really didn't have the tools to deal with it, and I had put on about 30 pounds because my years of eating unhealthy finally caught up with me, and the alcohol was still there, and pills and everything, and around that time, I had met who is my coach now, Enrique, on Facebook. I think I just saw some of his positive posts, and it just spoke to me, and I actually reached out to him because I had tried all these workout programs. I had tried all these fad diets. I had ruined my metabolism. I didn't know what to do anymore, and I was miserable. And so we started talking about a lot of stuff, and I had seen how he had turned his life around. And it just kind of motivated me to keep going. But I realized that I had to get my head right first. And, I was never happy with my body, but I couldn't even start to work on my, physical body because my head was so messed up. So I really started doing some research on positive thinking and changing the way that you think, and that started to help. And then the next step was putting good things into my body and eating better. And then the final step was like actually, getting some of this anxious energy out and working out and finding a form of exercise that I liked. And I just wanted to tell everybody that no matter how miserable you are and how stuck you feel, there is always a way out. The world is an awful place. It's very negative. You have to create your own little positive bubble around yourself. Surround yourself with positive people. If you're in a bad relationship, get out. Like, if you're surrounded by horrible people, get away from them. Like, you have to be your own cheerleader. And sometimes people are their own worst enemy, and they just send themselves down a path of destruction. And, all I can say is, like, I understand. I think there's a lot of women that are in this position, that were in the same position that I was in, and there are positive steps forward. You can turn it around. I feel like I'm so much happier now than I ever was in my life, and I, work even more now, and I have more stress now with my job, and, a lot on my plate and stuff like that, but it all starts with just the decision to try to make things better. There are tools out there. There are people who want to help. And I think, I found that in the community of coaches, and why I became an active coach a month ago and started reaching out to people, because I don't want my family and friends and people out there to be miserable and feel that mental, emotional pain that's worse than any physical pain you can ever feel. I mean, you don't have to live that way. So that's just kind of, now that my video is getting long, it's just kind of an explanation of where I've come from, and, why I started making these changes. And, I hope, even if this has touched some person, that there are other people out there like you that have been through it, and it can change, things can get better. So, I'm here even for people that just want to talk about whatever. Sometimes you just need a friend to listen to you and understand that it's so much more than dieting and fitness. It's just, that's like 10% of it. Usually with women, it's so much other stuff, and you have to, dig deep into it to, start making some progress. But there is hope. So, I just want to give you my explanation, and thank you, and I hope everyone has a good day.